This NFL offseason is one and is predicted to be one of the most dynamic and interesting off seasons for the quarterback position, probably in the history of the NFL. The quarterback position is one that sees a lot of subtle movement, but not dynamic movement of starting quarterbacks like has been predicted to be happening this offseason. And as we've seen so far, we're not even directly into the offseason. We're probably like 3 or 4 days into the offseason, if you want to be technical about it, because of when the Super Bowl ends. We're only 4 days into the offseason, and there's already been trades, there's already been rumors, there's already been developing stories with all these quarterbacks across the NFL. So, there are obviously a couple of starters for the quarterback position in the NFL for all 32 NFL teams are going to be determined and have already been determined. But I thought it'd be a really interesting idea today to not talk about any of the trade rumors, to not really talk about any of the ideas and the fantasies about which quarterback is going to be going where. I thought it'd be fun to just sit down, go through every single team in the NFL, and just give my prediction as to who's going to be that starting quarterback for that NFL team by the start of next season. And it doesn't mean who's going to be starting the most games for that football team. It's who is going to be the starter for week 1 of the 2021 season for every single quarterback in the NFL this next season. So I just wanted to go down through the list today, and I really want to hear your reaction to this. I want to see your reaction to this. Do you agree? Do you have any idea or have a better idea about who may be starting where? Obviously, there's going to be a lot of subjective opinion on this, and that's what's really great. I hope this starts a conversation. I hope that, people share their ideas about who should go where and what team should do what. So with that being said, let's just get into it. We'll start with the AFC East, and we're going to start off with a firecracker already. The Patriots starting quarterback in 2021 will be Gardner Minshew. And a lot of people are forgetting the name Gardner Minshew. A lot of people are so hyper-focused on Deshaun Watson, Jimmy Garoppolo, the Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff trade, Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott. There's so much focus on the big names that are already in the NFL that I feel like Gardner Minshew kind of gets thrown under the rug a little bit, because the reality is that Gardner Minshew is more than likely going to be looking for a job this offseason as well. Trevor Lawrence is the widely pronounced number 1 pick in the draft. The Jaguars are going to be completely idiotic if they pass on Trevor Lawrence. The Jaguars are going to be completely idiotic if they pass on Trevor Lawrence. He's a once in a generational quarterback prospect. And the reality is that Gardner Minshew is going to be without a job probably this offseason. And I think that the Patriots, I think Cam Newton cannot play quarterback anymore. I think he's got confidence issues. He's got swagger issues. He is very much in his head, and he can't really perform at the level that he was during his MVP season anymore. And until he can prove that, and he had his chance to prove it with the Patriots this offseason, and he didn't do a good job of it, I think you have to move on from him as quarterback. And if there's one thing that the New England Patriots need, it's a leader. You take a look at what Tom Brady did in New England. Sure, the Super Bowls are impressive. Sure, the camaraderie with Belichick, or what was the camaraderie with Belichick, is all impressive. Tom Brady, as a quarterback, is impressive. He's the greatest of all time. But one of Brady's underrated attributes was how much of a leader he was, how much of a fantastic leader he was for that locker room. And while Gardner Minshew may not be the most blazing quarterback in the NFL, he's got some arm strength, he's got some accuracy issues, but if there's one thing that you can definitively say that Gardner Minshew is good at, it's being a good locker room leader. And where the Patriots, they're going to have a lot of their defense back. They might be able to get some offensive weapons in the draft. They're not in that bad of a situation. I kind of loathe the idea that the Patriots are in a bad situation based on one season just because of who was at quarterback and who they were missing. I think if Gardner Minshew ends up going to New England, that'd be really good for the Patriots. It's not going to be the long-term quarterback for the New England Patriots, but Belichick and a good quarterback leader in the locker room will go a long way. I think Gardner Minshew would be a great fit in New England. Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa is going to be the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. I think they're too in love with Tua to make a trade for Deshaun Watson. I would be honestly surprised if they make a trade for Deshaun Watson. I think Tua is going to be the starting quarterback. I think Fitzpatrick is going to stay in Miami. I think that quarterback dichotomy is going to be there for at least one more season in Miami, and I think Tua is going to be the starter week 1. The Jets, Sam Darnold is going to be the starting quarterback for the New York Jets. by the start of the season next season. And this one's a really difficult one to call because Robert Saleh, the new head coach for the New York Jets, hasn't really said definitively where he wants to go at quarterback, and neither should he. That's something that he should probably keep very close to the hip. A lot of mock drafts have either Zach Wilson or Justin Fields going to the Jets at number 2, and I don't know. There's just something in my gut that says the Jets are going to try to cater to Sam Darnold for at least 1 or 2 more years. And I'm putting that out there, and it's a very 50-50 coin toss for me, but I think that the Jets probably either want to trade back in the draft or they want to address some of their other needs. They should get somebody like a Devonta Smith or maybe a Penei Sewell at the offensive tackle position. I don't know that they're completely done with Sam Darnold, and I think that if I had to choose right now, with the lack of information, and if it's really a 50-50 coin flip, I think they'll probably stick with Darnold and they'll get some other pieces to help the rest of the franchise, maybe get a couple of more picks by trading down. And, the Bills' starting quarterback is going to be Josh Allen. That's going to surprise absolutely nobody. He had an MVP caliber season. If Aaron Rodgers wasn't having the season that he was having, I think maybe Josh Allen would have been further into the MVP conversation. He had a great season. The AFC South, the Jaguars' quarterback is going to be Trevor Lawrence. They're going to take him number 1 overall in the draft. That's going to surprise nobody. That's a pretty easy one. I think everybody has the idea that Trevor Lawrence is going to be the starting quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars this next season. The Houston Texans. The Houston Texans quarterback is going to be Josh McCown starting week 1. Where Deshaun Watson goes, I have no idea, or maybe I do know, and I'm not telling you yet, but I honestly have no idea. I think if I had to hedge my bets right now, I think the Houston Texans and Deshaun Watson are about to go for a long, bloody war. Just because Deshaun Watson isn't starting for the Texans doesn't mean that he's going to be starting for another NFL team this season. I kind of have a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach that Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans, with Cal McNair, they're going to be battling one another for an entire season, and it's going to end a lot like the Le'Veon Bell Steelers situations where Deshaun Watson's going to hold out, try and get out of it, or maybe he's going to have to grudge through another season before the Houston Texans finally trade him, or maybe he gets traded by the deadline. I don't know. I just feel like even if Deshaun Watson stays on the Texans, he's not going to be their starting quarterback. There's something that's going to be, he's either going to hold out, he's either going to debate it, or he's just not going to participate. I think Josh McCown would probably be, out of the 2 quarterbacks left on the Texans roster besides Deshaun Watson, it's A.J. McCarron and Josh McCown. I'd take Josh McCown as the starting quarterback. Titans starting quarterback, Ryan Tannehill, not really a surprise here. Ryan Tannehill has had 2 great seasons under the Titans center as a QB. He will continue to have another good season this next season. The Colts' new starting quarterback will be Dak Prescott. I think there's a very good chance that the Cowboys move on from Dak Prescott. I think Jerry Jones is going to take a look at the injury, and despite what he said publicly, despite all the drama revolving around the Cowboys when it comes to leaving Dak out of the 2020 promotional package, I don't necessarily think that that really has anything to do with it. I think people are making up a story there, but regardless of that, I think there's a very good chance that the Cowboys move on from Dak Prescott and he ends up in a Colts uniform, and that's a really nice combination that I would be happy to see. The Colts have the money to pay Prescott. They have about, $35 million in cap space. I don't know exactly how much. Colts have a lot of cap space. Dak Prescott would be a good quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. Andrew Luck might return as well, but if I had to hedge bets, I think Dak Prescott is the starting quarterback for the Colts next season. That would be an interesting one. That's more of a crystal ball prediction than anything else. AFC West, Broncos, Drew Luck. He's going to get probably his final season to prove that he can be a starting quarterback in the NFL for the Broncos. I know John Elway really likes Drew Lock. I don't know whether he can really be a starting quarterback in the NFL, but he has this last season to prove it. Raiders, Derek Carr, very similar to Drew Lock in the situation. He has about 1 more season with John Gruden before the Raiders might want to consider moving on from Derek Carr. I think they are already considering moving on from Derek Carr, but I don't think that they're really in the market to find anybody better than Derek Carr at this point, so Derek Carr is going to be starting in the AFC West. Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. Look, there's no way that Patrick Mahomes is not the starting quarterback for the Chiefs for at least the next 15 years. That's an incredibly easy one. Chargers, Justin Herbert, after having the offensive rookie of the year, after having a fantastic season, he is going to be, out of all the quarterbacks that we've seen from last year's draft, he's the one that looks the most promising. He should be at the helm for the Chargers for a long time. AFC North. This one we can just fly through. Everything is as expected. The Browns, Baker Mayfield. Ravens, Lamar Jackson. Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger will restructure his contract in return for one final season for the Steelers. Bengals, Joe Burrow. I don't know if Joe Burrow is going to be healthy enough in time to start for the Bengals. I assume he will be, but that is something that we should watch as well. The NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys. I already said that I think that there's a very good chance that the Dallas Cowboys move on from Dak Prescott, so that would leave the starting quarterback for the Cowboys being Andy Dalton. That's not something that I think Cowboys would be very thrilled about. I think they probably don't want Andy Dalton at quarterback, but that's probably the quarterback that they're going to have at the helm, because I don't think Jerry wants to pay Dak, and I don't think that Dak Prescott really wants to play in Dallas anymore. I wouldn't want to play in Dallas, especially with how the rest of the team fell apart after Dak Prescott went down with the injury. The Eagles, Jalen Hurts will be the starting quarterback for the Eagles. Look, a lot of news about the Eagles possibly trying to trade Carson Wentz over the next couple of days. It was rumored to be happening very soon. It might be happening right now. I predicted on Tuesday's show that, hey, a trade might happen on Tuesday, and here we are 2 days later, and nothing's happened. But I think there's a very good chance that the Eagles trade Carson Wentz. Jalen Hurts will be the starting quarterback for the Eagles this upcoming season. Washington, Alex Smith. Taylor Heineke actually just got paid 2 years, $15 million, if I remember correctly. That's about, or maybe 2 years, $10 million, something along those lines. Taylor Heineke just got paid by the Washington football team, so that may impact where they go with the first round in the draft. I already did a front office frenzy on the Washington football team, and I said they should draft Mac Jones in the first round. But regardless of what they do, I think Alex Smith is probably the starting quarterback for the Washington football team this season. It makes sense. He's their most consistent quarterback at the moment. Taylor Heineke played great in the playoffs, but he hasn't shown enough consistency over the course of multiple games to earn that starting spot just yet. And even if they draft a rookie in the first round, that rookie is probably going to have to sit behind Alex Smith. Alex Smith is the starting quarterback for the Washington football team. The Giants, their quarterback is going to be Daniel Jones. Very similar to Derek Carr and Drew Lock. Daniel Jones is he's in his third year at this point. He is going to need to start proving things. He's going to need to start playing like the pick that the Giants expected him to be. I think the fans are absolutely right on this one. I don't really like Daniel Jones as a quarterback. He's okay, but he's not good at where the Giants drafted him to be. This is probably his last or second to last season before the Giants probably want to move on from Daniel Jones if he can't produce. Atlanta, Matt Ryan is going to be the starting quarterback even if they take a quarterback in the first round. I think he'll probably play like 5 or 6 games before being replaced in the season, but as it comes to week 1, Matt Ryan is going to be the starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. Saints, Jameis Winston. A lot of people probably don't want to hear me say that. They probably don't want Jameis Winston to be the starting quarterback. But look, the Saints are $82 million in the hole when it comes to cap space. They have a lot of money to rearrange. Jameis Winston is a cheap quarterback on a prove-it deal. He signed a one-year deal last year. You should sign him to another prove-it deal this year. He hasn't played enough to be able to prove, or he hasn't played enough rather to be able to ask for any more money than that, and if he does, that's just Jameis being greedy. I think Jameis Winston is probably going to be the Saints starting quarterback this next season. Buccaneers, Tom Brady, that's another easy one, but we're kind of going long on the segment, so I'm going to speed up a little bit. Panthers starting quarterback is going to be Justin Fields. I think the Panthers draft Justin Fields at number 8, or they trade up to get him at either 2 or 3. I think Justin Fields would be a great spot. I think the Panthers would be a great spot for Justin Fields. I feel like that's a really good combination, Justin Fields and Christian McCaffrey in the backfield with some nice offensive weapons. That sounds really good to me. I think he'll probably be the starting quarterback. I think he'll probably beat out Teddy Bridgewater in a QB battle in practice. And Justin Fields is going to be one of the few starting quarterbacks to start week 1 along with Trevor Lawrence. NFC West, Seahawks, Russell Wilson, another easy one. 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo. I think the 49ers are going to shop around Garoppolo, but at the end of the day, he's going to stay and start for the 49ers this next season. The Rams, Matthew Stafford. That one we've already kind of foreseen, or that's already happened with the trade with Jared Goff with the Lions. Cardinals, Kyler Murray. He's going to have probably a much better season than he had this last season. I think Kyler Murray is going to be posed for a breakout year. And wrapping everything up, So we can finally wrap the segment up. NFC North, Packers, Aaron Rodgers. Look, as much as the media wants to overhype things, Aaron Rodgers isn't going anywhere. He's going to stay with the Packers for at least another 2 years. Lions, Jared Goff. He just got traded there. He is probably a shoo-in to start at this point. Vikings, Kirk Cousins, very overpaid as we talked about on Tuesday, but he had a very good season for the Vikings. There's no reason for him not to be starting or for him to have any real competition. And the Bears starting quarterback is going to be Carson Wentz. That is just my best prediction on that. I don't think that the Colts are interested in Wentz, but I think they probably want to wait until somebody like Dak Prescott gets on the market. I think that the Carson Wentz is going to go to the Bears, and I think the Bears are probably going to have a rough go of it with Carson Wentz, but the Bears have been searching for a quarterback forever, and I think that Carson Wentz is going to be that next name in the fold of Bears quarterbacks that they try and make work but don't work out. Where does Mitchell Trubisky go? I've got no idea at this point. Maybe he goes to Houston. Maybe he gets traded for Deshaun Watson. Who knows? But that is all 32 NFL teams and who their starting quarterback would be. A prediction of who that starting quarterback will be. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And I want to hear what you think. I want to hear your ideas and who you think is going where. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching this segment from the Hard Headed Sports Podcast. You've heard what I've had to say, now I'm interested to hear what you think as well. If you enjoyed this highlight from the show and want to watch more highlights from the show as they come out after the show's completion, you should definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel, and if you're interested in listening to the entire show in its full-length entirety, you should follow the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Anchor. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all very soon.